The purpose of this resource is to provide guidance for utilizing scaffolds that are embedded in your EL Education District curriculum. Scaffolding is an instructional method that progressively moves students towards greater independence and understanding during the learning process. It is a temporary support that acknowledges what students already know, the barriers they will face in achieving new learning goals, and the instructional support that will benefit them in negotiating these barriers. Throughout this learning opportunity, we will focus on examples of scaffolds that already exist within EL education lessons using Lesson 4 from Grade 4, Module 1, Unit 1. An EL education scaffold overview document for elementary ELA grades 2 through 5 can be found in Learning Central under the appendix within each grade level module and also in the teacher planning tools for your grade level curriculum. Please refer to this document for additional supports as you plan. The lesson components listed on the slide are where you can locate embedded scaffolds within the lessons and will be highlighted throughout this presentation. It is important not to skip over the introductory teaching notes section of the lesson, which highlights intended learning outcomes and offers context within the unit and the module. For example, in this lesson, students will continue reading Love That Dog to analyze what happened in the pages and how Jack feels about it. Students then closely read Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost to identify characteristics of poetry and to determine a theme from details in the text. At the end of the lesson, students will write a summary on an exit ticket. The teaching notes section also points out where students might need additional support. For example, theme can be very tricky for students to determine because they generally need to be inferred. Learners need to understand that a theme is not a one-word topic, but rather an idea about life that the poet or author hopes the reader will learn. Pro tip: it is often easier for students to find the evidence first. What sticks out to them? What do they notice most? Odds are, those are going to be evidence to support a theme. You can further scaffold students by posting theme sentence stems to help guide their thinking. Remember that as long as the theme can be supported with evidence, it's right. You may find that because themes are so open-ended, you may have several different themes in your class, and that's okay. Each lesson provides a selection of supports for English language learners, but teachers should read these notes as these strategies may be helpful to all students, regardless of their language proficiency. Close reads will help students glean meaning from the poem Stopping by the Woods. Remember to allow students at least 3 reads for the text. Inferring or reading between the lines is challenging for many students. Model this by thinking aloud with I wonder statements as you read the poem, and perhaps even sketch out the poem as you talk. Guided notes are an excellent scaffold. Give students a partially completed copy of the I Notice, I Wonder note catcher. Here's a tip. You can easily make these from the key and the teacher pages by whiting out the keywords or covering them with sticky notes. Provide students with a word bank if heavier scaffolding is needed. Many students may need to build their background knowledge to understand the poem. Consider using photographs or a video clip to help them understand. Did you know that there are animated versions of the poem on YouTube? Consider showing this to your students to aid in referencing and comprehension. Universal design for learning is a way of thinking about teaching and learning that helps give all students an equal opportunity to succeed. This approach offers flexibility in the way that students access material, engage with it, and show what they know. Anchor charts are a go-to scaffold. Make sure to create the What Makes a Poem anchor chart with your students. Remember, it doesn't need to be pretty. Color code the characteristics and allow students to use highlighters to highlight those characteristics that they find in the poem using the same color. Summary is a new skill for the students. You can scaffold students by giving them a checklist to use to make sure that they have included all of the elements. You can color code those too. Here's an example that I use with my students. The Meeting Students' Needs section of the Teacher Guide offers differentiation opportunities for students. Remember, effective differentiation is built on a foundation of engaging, relevant, student-friendly learning targets that clearly define expectations for learning. These targets remain consistent amongst all students in the classroom, regardless of the differentiation presented to the learner. Some learners might need more scaffolding in order to find the gist. Use these teaching prompts to help you guide them through a small group instruction. The more vocabulary students are exposed to during learning, the more likely it is that the student will become a better reader. EL lessons point out academic and domain-specific vocabulary that is taught in each lesson. These words should be recorded on the class word wall by the students for the students to refer to throughout the module. Scaffolding is an instructional method that progressively moves towards greater independence and understanding during the learning process. Refer to the EL Education Scaffold Overview for grades 2 through 5 for additional resources that may provide further support when planning and implementing instruction. As a reminder, additional resources and professional learning videos can be found in Learning Central under the appendix within each grade level module and in the teacher planning tools for your grade level curriculum. If you need more assistance with differentiating scaffolding lessons, you may wish to reach out to the experts in your building, the ESL teachers, special education specialists, intervention team facilitator, or contact the central office coordinating teachers assigned to your school for support.